Everybody, thanks for showing up early if you're here. If you're not, well, then I guess you can't hear me anyway. So, yeah. Matt, it
Yeah.
just feels like something's come between us.
It's a Barnes.
Ah,
Oh, go straight to it.
I don't pretend very well long
Been
term.
entertaining this bit.
No, I don't. I think it's the autism. My brain doesn't do pretending. Like,
Okay. Oh no.
yeah, my brain it's one or the other. Either it just completely rejects it or just gets like way too into it.
yeah,
So,
I pretend all the time because I am in the land of pretend.
yes,
Uh, Good old
old La
Los
La Land.
Angeles.
Yeah.
Old La La Land. All
Mhm.
Hollywood. Filled with fake people and their fake dreams being all fakey fake, or so I'm told.
Mm. Yeah.
I can be
Yeah.
creative about something like if it's like third person, but if I'm involved in the creative thing, or I gotta like act or something, I like my brain won't do it.
Your brain won't allow the part of Matt to be played by Matt.
Right?
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
get I get it.
I think it's because I can only be myself, and if I try to be anything else, I either like lock up uh, or I get really uncomfortable.
Well, you don't need to be anybody but yourself, friend.
Yeah.
Even in fake scenarios in which someone comes between you two. Just think
Okay.
what you would do in that situation that doesn't exist.
Go with that. All right. Well, if you guys are ready, I guess we'll go ahead and you know cut with the casual banter and get officially started with the casual banter.
Sounds good.
Hello and welcome to the Humanity, where we do the things with the stuff for the people. I'm Matt.
And I'm Tommy. And tonight, super excited to finally have as our very first guest on anything ever our good buddy Erik
I'm
Barnes.
Erik Barnes. Oh, I didn't. I For those of you listening to this audio format, Tommy
I don't
gave
know
me
if we're doing.
a wonderful opening gesture,
Mhm.
and I was like, oh, that's my cue, and I talked over him. Unfortunately, that was a lovely intro. I'm
That's
Erik
okay.
Barnes. I'm their friend.
Hmm.
The end. I'm here.
All right. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been we've been wanting to have Barnes on, like even going back to the old Three Beer Gospel podcast days, and we're really close one time, but then ended up kind of going on hiatus for a while
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I had a fuck of a year, and so. But
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
here.
Tommy rudely got cancer, and that really fucked with my plans. And
Yeah,
I was
I know.
awfully, and out of the kindness of my heart, I've been patient about it.
Yeah, it's all right.
And
I got over it.
yeah, you're welcome, by the way. Um,
Thank you.
yeah,
May I have
definitely.
another something? Yeah.
Please don't have another.
Yeah, because that's
For
actually something.
everyone involved, please don't have another.
So, because Barnes and I, we're actually skin cancer buddies.
Oh,
Um,
neat.
Me to but me to a very lesser extent compared to you.
Um,
Uh, I,
which I
I
think that's the recommended way to go. I think, but
It is
Yeah.
the recommended way to go. I probably should honestly. I'm way overdue to get checked
yeah,
again. But I was
yeah.
fortunate enough that as they carved out a significant chunk out of the back of my skull,
Well, yeah, me
uh,
too.
they found healthy tissue
Uh,
around
cle
everything.
yeah,
So
clear
it was
margins.
off.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I was fortunate in that regard. I did have melanoma and carcinoma.
Oh,
I
wow.
had the twofer. Um,
Buy one, get
so
one.
they were like, "Oh, this is bad, but look, it's very good everywhere else." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So
Such a
yeah,
roller
yeah,
coaster of emotion.
yeah. It's like oh.
Yeah, that's what it was like for me too, only followed by a lot more and and
Yeah, yeah. There were a lot of different various grunts that you went through.
hmm
They're like,
it's
that's not
part it's
supposed to
part of the
happen.
it's part of the it's part of the therapy, you know.
Mm-mm.
They have you grunt.
Then you two
But
became then you two became godless heathens for a while, and still are, and
yeah,
thus.
we'll see how long this while goes. But 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 also before I forget, so apparently I started last week. Like, think I need to have like props in the back, so I have still have plenty here. But then last week, of course, added the wood carving of the old Three Beer Gospel podcast logo made by another good friend of mine, Richard. So thanks again for that, Richard. Still one of the coolest things ever. But speaking of coolest things ever, tonight I have a prop. This goes way back to the when Barnes was in Cincinnati and we was hanging out days.
He was.
And there's a story behind this. We'll see if Eric remembers the story behind
Oh my God! Yeah. Oh,
the night we saved Batman from the zombies.
that's right.
What?
The night we saved
Basically, like
Batman from the sun.
a bunch of us were hanging out. We like a bunch of people went out to, I think it was like a Dave and Buster's or something, and I guess we were just looking at like the area where they have the stuff you can buy with the tickets, and Batman was in there. And I remember Barnes just turning to me and saying, "Tommy, we are going to save Batman from the zombies," which meant we were going to win tickets by playing like House of the Dead and other such games. So,
That's right. We
and I still
did.
got him. So,
Oh, that makes me so happy.
so he's going to
It really
go.
does.
And oh, good. I remembered to wear pants.
Oh, good.
Yeah, right. It's gonna go right
Let's see
there.
if he actually stands up.
The Batman of the broken ankles.
Oh, that'd be
There.
so painful. Well, that's how we had to save him from the zombies. His broken
Yeah.
ankles. It was,
Yeah, they were doing terrible things to our guy there. So.
Weirdly enough, Tommy, I have like, I don't know, 200 plus Batman figurines behind me.
Ooh.
Are they all different?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
So also,
it is 40 plus years of nerddom and pack rat mentality all back there
that's a good combo. But
over the years. Yeah,
also,
So
but speaking of rescuing Batman from the zombies, also my beverage for this evening, Three Floyd's Zombie Ice,
Nice.
ooh.
very tasty. So
I had a porter from Founders, but then on deck, I'm gonna drop things, and then it's Fretboards IPA. It's a local brewery.
Mhm.
It's
I have. Oh,
go-to beer.
go ahead. I have a blueberry lemonade Crystal Light and and coffee from this morning.
oh, that's the best.
The dregs.
Where it's evaporated a little bit. It's like extra potent, concentrated.
Lukewarm. My favorite.
Have you ever put vodka with Crystal Light?
No, but I could.
It
You know
could
my
be good with
tolerance, and I'm trying to save money. So
that would not save money.
no. It would take me a lot of vodka in order for me to.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're like okay, so you have the alcohol tolerance just kind of like genetically or something.
I got the everything tolerance, bud.
Do you have
I have tried weed out here. I do not know my dosage. I had the most expensive bag of Famous Amos all in one sitting. At least that's what it felt like.
Tommy's like that too, but he's way smaller
Yeah.
than you.
Yeah, I've tried like several like edibles and like other things, like just nothing.
Come
So,
on, feel good. Damn it.
but I'm just always so tired. But
You know, I
Yeah.
have cancer and I'm not allowed to drink, and weed doesn't do anything.
Yeah, the only time I got super duper high was when I had like an obscene amount,
mm,
like an obscene amount, like within a giant ass cookie. And all I did was sit down, and I'm like, I'm tired, but I don't want to go to bed. I want to hang out with you guys. Yeah, I was 5. I was a 5-year-old. I was a 5-year-old at 7 p.m. I was a 5-year-old at 7 p.m. who was like, "It's my bedtime, and I'm tired, but I don't want. I want to hang out, and this sucks. I want to be, And that's what was going on in my brain. And so I went to bed. And I'm like, this blows because I wanted to have fun. I got a good night's sleep out of it, but still, that wasn't what it was for.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Oh well, maybe someday.
what a pregnant pause. What a thought-evoking pause we just had.
hmm hmm So I'll take this opportunity to do a host thing
Do it.
and say, "Hey, Eric, tell everyone about yourself who may want to know some things about you."
I live out in Los Angeles, California. I met these gentlemen. We were all a part of the same church in Cincinnati. We became friends within and outside of it. We've remained in touch on and off. Uh, let's see. When did I leave? It was like 2005, I want to say.
No, you
Right?
were. I think that's maybe closer to when
No,
you got out there.
it was 2007
Yeah.
I left.
hmm
Um, and yeah, and I'm out here chasing the dream. Only, I'm old now, so it's more of like a brisk walk. and yeah, I've had some great times and great memories, and I'm still doing some stuff out here in the comedy and writing realm.
Oh
So,
yeah.
and an occasional performance.
Do you do stand up anymore very much?
Haven't done too much since the pandemic, but I pick up a show here and there. It's just, that 2020 really just killed a lot of momentum for a lot of people and a lot of venues for a lot of shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm at an age right now in which it's like I can't do your shit for free no more. So, and there are plenty of people that be like, but I will. So they go to them, and then there's me.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
but I do
Yeah.
improv and stuff.
Oh, sweet.
Do those kind of shows there. I'm a announcer commentator for a comedy wrestling promotion called Wrestling Pro Wrestling, and we are coming back next month.
Nice.
It is, yeah, twice the fun, twice the wrestling, Wrestling Pro Wrestling. And
Wrestling's so nice they mentioned it twice.
exactly. So hopefully I get to cheer on and announce matches featuring King Giraffadora, a 3-headed giraffe dragon, and Sam Squatch, George Washington Carver's monster, who's a giant, legally distinct Mr. Peanut, with a big, massive right hand arm, a big muscular arm, and a lot of other wacky characters and such. It's a lot of fun. So if you're in Glendale, February 9th, check it out. And if it's available online, I haven't been told, but if it will,
Yeah,
but if it will, I'll let y'all know.
They should
awesome. Yeah,
put that
definitely.
online.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do upload some shows online, but that was long after the fact. If you search Wrestling Pro Wrestling Burbank on YouTube, you'll be able to find our stuff.
Sweet.
and I currently write for an internet show called Some More News. Some people may recognize the folks from formerly of Cracked.
Yeah.
As a
Before it
part
went to
of it.
shit.
We actually brought that up about the fragile internet. I wrote an episode about the fragile internet economy and how, just the decisions of just one guy
Yep.
could devastate the landscape of everything. Because, how have you heard of a website called Kickstarter?
Yes.
I have heard tell, yes.
The website that was originally for creators and inventors to be like, hey, I can't get mainstream funding for this thing. Maybe you would like to chip in and help me make the thing, and then you can enjoy the thing. And then eventually people like Zach Braff is like, I want to make a movie. And they want that. Or the team behind Veronica Mars is like, let's make more Veronica Mars together. And now it's turned into this hub of not just unknowns, but known people to make stuff.
Yep.
And it is a company with less than 100 employees or something like that. I don't have the hard numbers in front of me, but it's pretty small. And the head of the company was at one point going, you know what? Kickstarter, we're probably we're gonna move into a different direction, into crypto and blockchain.
What?
And then everyone said, the fuck you say? And then they're like, maybe we shouldn't do that. And then the crypto market went down. So near miss, but Kickstarter would have been fucked, and thus all these other projects everywhere would have been kaput. And the same thing of, you guys are old enough. Do you remember Vine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was around briefly.
Yeah. It was up and it was popular, and there were even these things called Vine stars that were able to make a living off of the content they created, and or move from making stuff on Vine into other forms of media, like they were being signed to movies or get talent agents to put them in other stuff. And then Jack Dorsey bought it, the guy that used to own Twitter, and decided, we don't need Vine anymore. And then that killed an entire generation of creators.
Wait, why did
unless they were able to pivot and recover their audiences on Instagram.
Wait, so you bought it and then shut it down?
Yeah.
Huh.
And Jack Dorsey regrets it.
Yeah. Because
I know, Matt. And he's the same guy that sold Twitter to Elon Musk, and now
he's done a lot of regretful things, I guess.
A lot of things. And the thing of it is like, it's not just entertainment, it's also, other forms of business and industry that use these social media platforms as advertising, as ways to network, all these other things. And just takes one guy to say no. And hundreds of thousands of jobs or means to make a living are gone. So anyway,
just
that's
things
enough
that
of
other
that
people are
tangent.
interested, or forms of entertainment, or just
Yeah.
Well, we can't democratize the means of production even for creative things.
No, apparently not. And apparently we have to focus our AI to make creative things as opposed to just the mundane drudgery work.
Yeah, I was really digging the whole like AI like writing essays for people like that. I can get behind. But
I don't, and here's why. Because essays are meant to be vetted and they need to be accurate. Because
certain ones, I guess.
They'll be eventually used. If there's so many, they'll be eventually used for legitimate news stories in order to back up certain points and certain data. But the problem is that AI doesn't have that discernment.
Well,
It
neither
is
do
it
people.
is deriving text from whatever it finds. It is predictive text.
If you look like,
So
but one of the things that that like we keep coming across when we look at like the Christian apologetics crowd and stuff, or like Christian takes on the news. I think these are more like fundamentalist types, but just on a lot of partisan news in general, there's a lot of citing sources that we're citing other sources.
well, right, but there lies the problem is the if there's AI generated stuff over and over and over again, it
It makes
creates
it
more
harder.
of a cloud for one, and the other being, let's say, and I hate using that as a start because you're already talking about an extreme hypothetical when you're saying let's say, but if you're a company and yeah, this falls into what another thing I do for a living. I'm a copywriter and a copy editor.
hmm
Uh, let's say one particular company that makes ham. They're a ham company. They like ham. They export ham. They're in ham futures, all that stuff.
I appreciate them.
Yeah. They're like they want to write an article. What is ham? And they want to have top SEO billing of what is ham. SEO being search engine optimization. They want to be at page one on Google. Hamco wants to beat the Pork Corporation, their main competitor in Google searches for the article "What is ham?" And instead of hiring a copywriter to write an engaging article to their target audience that incorporates various Boolean terms, SEO key phrases, and so on and so forth to help it out, they go to an AI. And that AI is just going to write their own "What is ham" article. But that "What is ham" article is essentially going to be written through predictive text of other people's "What is ham" articles. So what you will find is that many a time, there can be an opportunity of, hey, that AI wrote nearly the exact same damn thing as my AI wrote for my "What is ham" article. So
That's a good point.
I'm at Hamco upset at the Pork
Hamco.
Corporation. I am upset, want to sue the Pork Corporation for copying my AI written material, but we've run into a problem.
Because it's the same.
No one owns it.
Yeah.
Because it's not original. And on top of that, AI is so imperfect. A lot of companies within the past few months have been using AI for customer service, and a lot of them have been giving the customers wrong information, which can lead to them being held liable.
Yeah.
And the problem is, let's say I'm a boss and I'm told, hey, this AI is telling people the wrong info, telling customers that are giving me money. And I like money a lot. Like I need more of it. I need to grow and have all of it all the time because
It's my homie. Yeah.
all I know is business and I have no joy in any other facet of life except to gain and to get the most everything out. I don't care if I use it or not. I just need it all. I just need it. I need all of it. And I need to keep growing and growing because there's no way that I can just explode underneath the weight of it all.
We gotta get that money bin.
Yeah,
Spending it.
I need a bigger money bin, Matt.
Yeah.
I need more of it.
Just go all Scrooge McDuck and just be swimming in it.
Yep.
I mean, Scrooge McDuck at least had a limit and went on adventures.
That's true.
But the point is,
Right. It's really amused me that you got
if I'm a
derailed.
boss with AI technically as my employee, in quotes, okay, how do I discipline a robot? You're fired, computer. You know,
You just gotta
as
go office
opposed to,
space on it.
as opposed, because here's the thing: if I'm a big boss man, I need someone to blame. Otherwise, people are going to come after me. So I better hire Harold
no good.
instead, because Harold works twofold. Number one, he can get the regular information because he's a sentient being with an independent mind. And number two, if he fucks up, I could just fire him and hire the new Harold, or Steve, or a Stephanie, or anybody.
I always liked Steve.
Yeah, but you know, but you see what, but do you see what I'm saying? Is that's the thing that they're learning, and
Yeah. So
and
Terminator was wrong. Like the Judgment Day is not going to be like the nukes going off. It's just going to be unauthorized and uncontrolled ham articles.
No, it's just going to be going to be shitty artwork that doesn't know how fingers work.
Yeah,
that's what it's going to happen.
That's some of the creepiest shit. That's why I was like. That's why I keep at least for now. I tell people
soulless eyes.
Yeah,
it's like Anyway, you were saying, Tommy. I'm sorry.
Like I keep telling people, like, don't worry about like the Skynet or whatever. Like they can't even fucking figure out fingers. So at least for now, I think we're good.
Well, I mean, for now, it's something to be concerned about more along the lines of, like, whether you consider art to be a worthy pursuit or not is immaterial. The fact that we are focusing AI so much on it, as opposed to many other applications, is it tells me there is literally no imagination amongst people, and that's part of the problem. Is like they have to hire people with an imagination to make or write art, and all of a sudden it's like, no, we just need robot.
I kind of have a theory about the art stuff because,
and also that art is stolen because it is deriving its styles from actual people that are trying to make a living. Anyway, please continue.
It's not just creating it itself; it's pulling it in.
It's all derivative. It is all versions of predictive text.
Well, like a side comment is like a lot of art is that in general when it's made by people, it's just a recombination of different elements, and sometimes it is like I can't remember that guy who did all like the Christian house landscape things.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like
Thomas Kincaid.
Thomas Kincaid.
Yeah.
Like greeting card covers and stuff is basically his jam. There are people.
I knew a lot of art school people who, like, his name was basically an expletive.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I think the AI with the art generation stuff, there's something about the kind of thinking that it takes for AI to do that well. It translates into other creative problem solving things, like solving engineering problems and medical problems. That kind of like lateral thinking. And in the meantime, it generates income, or at least data to sell to other people.
Yeah.
And it seems like a lot of different apps are using the same program that somebody is either leasing or sold copies of to people. And so you've got all these different AIs doing it, but it's really maybe only 2 or 3 different AI programs, and they've just changed the parameters on it to fit their app brand. So today I was looking for something. I was playing with AI generators today, and I found that there are just so many apps that they can't all have original programming. There's no way.
No.
So I really think it's somebody's research project to actually do something more important for society. But you need to teach AI creative thinking in order to solve a problem that hasn't been solved ever.
But herein lies the problem, Matt, is that it's the issue is that it's It's not about teaching a robot how to create in the first place. It's deriving. It's not saying, here's a crayon, draw me a
Right.
picture.
I
You know?
see, and no, I get that for the creative images and even music and stuff. I'm talking about like so scientific new technologies and new solutions for medical problems and
Oh,
stuff.
it's already being used for that.
Right, but I'm saying with that, any new knowledge really is going to be derivative of something of knowledge that already exists. So I agree that
That's true,
it's having a
but
negative impact on the creative industry and just individual pieces of creative art. Um, and I think that will be something society has to recover from. It's neat right now for a lot of people, but like you can tell when you're watching a sitcom and they just hired like whoever would work for the least amount of money, and you're watching the same show that was on like 10 years ago and it's just been repackaged
yeah,
versus like watching something that is the writer's heart and soul on the screen, probably their personal experiences.
Mhm.
The tone of voice is just unique. I think people are going to be hungry for that again. What
again, they're hungry for it now. But
I
yeah,
know, but the people in charge don't see it.
oh no, the people in charge. That's the problem. Is that the people in charge? And I know this because I fucking marched for it and struck for it.
All the writers, yeah.
Well, I'm not in the WGA, but I did march for them just because I have friends and such. But I did strike as an actor for that very reason. Say what you want about my union's deal, ultimately, which I wasn't too happy about. I voted no, but that's going to be a battle that we're going to have another day, and it's still a
Yeah.
better contract than what was previously presented. So it's
Yeah.
a win with a lowercase w. The
Yeah.
the issue is that a lot of these media companies aren't owned by people that have made stuff before. It's
Right.
not like it's not like studio heads, back in the 40s, yeah, we made pitches, it's all well, my business was in oil, and yeah, I'll just buy this other company. Why isn't this making money?
Hmm.
Why are we spending so much money to make this? Can't you make money for me? It makes it makes more sense as a tax write-off to throw away this movie that is rating well, that hasn't been shown to the public, that thousands of people worked on. It,
Yep.
it makes more it makes fiscally more sense to just use it as a tax write-off, which thank God, Congress is now like, hey, probably shouldn't
Yeah.
allow that. Uh,
Everybody else is allowed to make a shit
because
product. Why can't you?
Yeah.
that's the thing is that the executives are like, why should they care? They got paid to make it. It's because everyone involved in making that movie, and I'm talking about Acme versus Wile E. Coyote, or Wile E. Coyote versus Acme, which is coming out which is going to happen actually after the blowback. But that was the thing, is that people that worked on it were like, man, we just like making things, and we want these
Yeah.
things to be seen and to be
Yeah.
heard. And here's video of I'm the composer. Here's and I'm on Twitter. Here's a video of me sharing what we recorded, and so on and so on, to the point at which the public's like, yeah, we would like to watch this movie.
Yeah.
And David Zaslav's flabbergasted. What? You want? But they got their money, and I'm getting money. That's the purpose, right? And
Yeah, I mean,
and,
if
and
all
you
they
know,
wanted was
but,
if all they wanted
you
was
know,
money, then they wouldn't be doing this for a living. They'd be
but
doing more like what I'm doing.
right, but that's the thing. Well, they still want to make a living doing what they love and what they're
Yeah.
passionate about, and they're fucking good at it. That's the
Mhm.
other thing too, is that movies and all that's a resume. If
Mhm.
there are so many actors that would be like, you know what, I got I got this main role in the Wile E. Coyote movie, and it was shelved, and I want you to hire me for this part. I can't show you it, but trust me, I was in it.
Yeah.
You can see that I was credited, and I have the pay stub from the check to
I
prove
worked on
that
it.
I worked on it.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
I was
that's what I do.
proud of that performance. You will never see it. And that's the same thing with the composer. That's the same thing with the writers. That's the same thing with yada, 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 yada. And
and then they'll release stuff that is awful.
well, the release stuff that's awful because it's, either, listen, we spent so much money on it, we have to, in
But
order
like instead of writing it
the
off,
for the chance to make it back. Or this is just fodder. But the funny thing about the Wile E. Coyote movie is that it's not even being shown on Max, and it's a Warner Brothers property. Amazon is going to show it, so but they found it more fiscally feasible to sell the licensing for it as opposed to putting it up on their own streaming network in the hopes that viewers will
more
subscribe.
people are going to see it on Amazon versus Max. I mean, Max doesn't seem like
that's true, but
a very well-run place.
That could be true, but the problem is there's a plumbing problem, and their solution is throw that bucket of water over there.
Yeah.
Instead of fixing the plumbing.
Like their toilet works.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
let's get the buckets.
Get the buckets. I've been talking a lot, so I'll stop.
I mean, that's why we had you on, man. Like,
hey,
I'm tired of talking.
To give you both a night off? Is that?
It's just. Don't tell Matt. I'm just tired of talking to him.
Yeah. See, that's why we're sitting apart now.
You didn't have to agree, Matt, dick. But
oh no,
so, Barnes, you're into comic book characters and stuff.
Yeah,
I heard a rumor that Daredevil was getting like either a continuation or a reboot. Is that for Disney Plus? Is that a thing?
Yes.
Do we expect it to be good? Because the one on Netflix was very good.
Very good.
Yeah.
The hope is that the fact that they are slowing down on releases.
Yep.
Is that can be quality control. But who's to say?
So. My concern is the series was already taking a happier upturn in the season finale, series finale for Netflix. So it wouldn't be terrible if it was less dark. It would kind of make sense with the last episode. But there has to be a darkness to it. Otherwise, the character doesn't make sense.
Yeah. It'll be kind of like a Neil Adams Batman versus a Frank Miller Batman, in the sense that Neil Adams Batman was more of a swashbuckler and adventurer type, as opposed to my parents are dead, let me punch out a mentally ill guy,
my hero.
So yeah, because Daredevil, and that's the way it is in the comics. There are some Daredevil stories that are just brutal, and then there are sort of lighter ones that are they still have an anchor in the darkness, but more along the lines of sometimes the fucker fights Stiltman, who is exactly what you think it is.
Dude, Tommy, you need to watch Daredevil.
I was just gonna say I really like that phrase, an anchor in the darkness.
Yeah,
that's a thing. I like it.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So Tommy,
hire me to write a thing for you, y'all.
Yeah.
Tommy, Vincent, is it Vincent D'Onofrio? Is that his name? Did I get actors mixed up? The guy who played Kingpin.
Yeah.
The Kingpin character and Vincent D'Onofrio who plays him. Fantastic.
Yeah.
There's a scene with a car door that your brain will never be able to unsee, but you should.
You put Battlesman in front of Vanessa.
Oh, just man, just the way he says stuff, very like every time he talks, there should be like an Emperor song in the background or something.
It's like he's an award-winning actor.
Hmm.
Who I saw at a Ralph's grocery store a long time ago.
Interesting.
Where you're like, I've been
What's it called?
Daredevil.
Oh, Daredevil. I thought you were talking about something else. Okay, yeah.
Well, you could also I haven't seen it, but you can see his performance as Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, in the current Disney Plus, or is it Hulu? Who cares? They're going to become one service eventually anyway. Echo.
Okay,
That's not a
I've
bad
heard of that
show.
one.
I've heard good things. I've heard good things. But I'm trying to finish up Fargo. So
yeah, it's what I love about the whole like
I need to see
multiple
that too.
streaming service platform. This is basically like after years of having like cable or satellite, everyone's all like, "Man, I wish I could just pick like just the networks, like just a handful that I wanted, and just pay for those." And then, as I'm hearing people predict, like, what's going to happen once we do that is we're going to have all these different services, and everyone's like, "Man, what would be nice if we could just like have everything just in one place."
No, or
well,
if you could just pay a la
happen.
carte, if you could just pay a la carte per show, and it wasn't a gouging price.
Yeah.
Or you pay for watch time or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, but then I would see. But the way my brain works, if I'm paying for watch time, then I would just never watch stuff.
There's that.
Yeah, and no matter how it goes, it's going to be more than we want to pay, or just below more than we want to pay.
What's looking like what's happening is because of the lack of imagination, we're just going to have cable again. But it's on demand cable.
Have you seen Warrior Nun on Netflix?
No,
but now I have to, based on the title.
It's a terrible show, okay? But I'm pretty sure the writers know that. Because
that helps.
It's nothing better than that.
There's some scenes where you're like, "Oh, this is stupid," but I love it.
Yeah, that's the best. You should watch. If you have Max, you should watch Warrior. It just was canceled, but is going to be again licensed for Netflix. So there are people praying that Netflix picks it up for another season.
What was that about? It kind of sounds familiar.
Warrior is it's based on a television pitch that Bruce Lee did before he died, and it is about. It takes place during the just around like the gold rush, back when there were a lot of Chinese immigrants coming into California.
Yeah,
and it is about a Chinese immigrant looking for his sister, and in old San Francisco, and there's a lot of martial arts in it, so there's a lot of Chinese mobs vying for power. There are the cops that are trying to keep the peace between Chinatown and everything else, and of course there are the politicians who are trying to make the peace of both, forming like no, yeah, these Chinese people are taking your jobs away, and all that type of stuff. And it's really, really, really good. And yeah, and the Irish mob are involved too.
Ooh, that sounds like a good fight.
Yeah, well, because the thing of it is it goes from everyone being racist against the Irish to everybody being racist against the Chinese. And finding a common ground and such. Huh?
So do you remember when people are racist against white people? Other white people are racist against white people?
Well, yeah. When there's no other races, they're going to find other, oh no, oh, the Catholics, oh.
That's why the west side of Cincinnati is so messed up. Like
racism or Catholicism?
Well, no, it's just okay. It's gonna sound bad at the beginning, I think. That's where all the Irish Catholics moved when they got shunned out of downtown when the Germans came in. because I think the Irish were down there first, and the Germans came in and took the Irish homes.
Was this in 1944 or?
Prior?
I figured as much.
There were a lot of streets downtown that had German names that they were like renamed to things like Liberty Street during the war.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like the reason why the west side of Cincinnati is so like separate, and if you even when you go over there, like the roads are different and like things just laid out weird, and
I live there.
Like just
it's
compared to how like I'm used to it on the east side of town, things are laid out a certain way, and it has something to do with people who settled that area and kind of grew it were shunned from the areas they moved from, and so they didn't want anything to do with the rest of Cincinnati, and so when things were coming up like, do you want to connect your roads to the other part of Cincinnati? West Side was like, nah. And so that's why like there's only like 3 ways to get from the west side to anywhere else. It all funnels down to.
Gotta love it. Oh.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I learned, like moving over here to the west side, it's apparently up for debate whether where I'm living is either West Price Hill or Covedale. But
I live in Los Angeles, but technically I am either, depending on which search engine you use, I am in Sherman Oaks, Valley Village, or Van Nuys, California, all at the same time. Ooh. So I get it.
Talented, nice.
Yeah.
But what
same
I learned,
address, same zip code, but.
But what I learned, like after moving to this part of town, is like realizing one, like at least like within like the west side area, or even like once to get to one of those 3 roads to get anywhere else, there's like a bazillion different ways to go. Like it's like if I just use my GPS, it's almost like even Apple Maps or whatever would take me a different way every time because there's so many. But like there's so many ways, but they're all the long way. It's like at least 20 minutes to get anywhere. So.
I say this with love.
Cool.
I don't give a fuck about your traffic problems.
Understood. Well, for me, it's not traffic. It's just the layout. That's the issue. But yeah.
I don't give a fuck about your layout problems.
Start making a list. Give them more things than I can think about.
I live here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys?
I don't give a fuck about your much nicer weather.
I live in a place in which it is a punchline.
Oh yeah.
About traffic, not just here, but on a national level.
Oh yeah.
It is a hack joke.
I saw LA story
about. Oh my God, the LA. There was a sketch, a running sketch on SNL. SNL. They're in New York. They're not from here. Called The Californians. And the basis of the joke is all about how the fuck do we get around? That's the joke of
and the terrible accents.
All the time.
Yeah.
There were like 4 of these, I want to say. 4 separate sketches with the exact same goddamn premise. Oh, how'd you get here? Well, I took the 5 over to the 101 and the 101 over to blah, 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 blah. And then it took me 40 minutes to go 12 miles or whatever it is, if that. It's taken me 40 minutes to go 6 miles out here. So I love you. Your problems are real.
I appreciate that.
But fuck them.
Yeah. We'll fuck your nicer weather.
At least you can predict what time it is in life.
What?
You know how long a year actually is. I don't.
We do have seasons.
It's been it's been, aside from the flooding that's been happening during the January months around here. It's the same goddamn day every day. And when you do that, it seems nice when it's nice. But then all of a sudden,
it's like
wait a minute. It's 2024? I'm 41 years old? How'd that happen? There were no seasons to warn me that time was passing, that I was aging. It's just been 90 to 120 degrees every goddamn day.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same. The same. The same.
You look like a Muppet right now. A very specific one.
I feel like a Muppet, friend.
I don't know which one.
And happy
Sweetums
belated.
is the answer.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Mhm.
And happy belated birthday too, by the way.
And happy it's happy upcoming birthday.
Yeah,
for
upcoming.
you.
Yeah.
That's right.
Just a few more days. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then I will also be 41. So.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing, is that you look the two of you look very good for your ages. Don't get me wrong, but you look like you know that time has passed.
What is that?
That you have.
Yeah, it's been every time when I do have hair.
Listen, they say people, when they go to Los Angeles, they end up getting a Peter Pan complex of staying young, right? Or at least and all that. I think a lot of it has to do with, and I'm not too different. I mean, fucking look behind me.
Yeah. But you were like that in Ohio too, so
yeah.
That's true. But ultimately, I think the issue is that I have refused to grow up because I wasn't noticing that time was moving forward. Whereas with seasons, beautiful, glorious seasons, you're able to be like, yes, it has moved. There's a cycle about things, as opposed to here where wintertime, I know winter gets dark in Ohio. I should know. I've been there for 25 plus years of my life. But with the snow of winter, there are clouds that could explain the sun piecing out. Here, though, imagine, it's a nice sunny day, and then 4:30 p.m. it's pitch black. And the sun doesn't set. It dives past the horizon. It pieces out like a dad that doesn't want to pay alimony. It just leaves. And it's just dark, and your brain can't function because there are no clouds in the sky to explain the sun. Did it die? Did the sun die? And then it rises the next day, and you're like, oh, thank God, it's here. It's here. Where are you going? No, don't leave. You did it again. And then,
which it makes sense
March,
of
and it normalizes.
But which makes sense of all the old mythologies are about the sun's gone because a wolf ate it or something. It's yeah, it makes sense.
And then it pooped it out in the morning.
Only out here it would be coyotes.
Yeah,
we
fair
have
enough.
Here
fair
too.
Enough.
We have people with small dogs can't leave their dogs out.
They're becoming more of a problem out here. Yeah.
But, I blame.
There were a couple bigger dogs that got attacked a few blocks away.
God.
Yeah. I blame the decrease. I blame the decrease in the roadrunner population.
There you go.
Not keeping them in check.
Hey, so should we talk about religion?
If you want, I'm game. We're almost an hour in. We might as well.
I mean, a little bit.
Yeah.
Sure. Let's talk.
What?
Let's talk.
So what's it? I think I asked you a while, probably a couple of years ago, what it's been like, because I imagine
for me or
yeah, for you, just being Christian, because I imagine there are a lot of progressive Christians, probably not many Christians, probably fewer than Ohio for sure. But I would think the most obvious Christians are the very fundamentalist ones that are obnoxious. So
yes,
what's that been like when you're if you tell somebody you're a Christian and you know that
Uh,
a lot of
the
sad
issue,
don't like.
well, the issue with me is, especially working in comedy, I'm a man without a country in a sense, because of the perception that you see in Fox News or personal experience. Because a lot of people that and it for whatever reason, a good chunk of people that work in the arts and all that type of stuff, a lot of them either had a religious upbringing that they have shunned, or have been exposed to it in a negative way, especially if they come from LGBTQ plus, if they fall under that umbrella.
Yeah.
And so when I tell people that I am a Christian, it's a surprise, either to those folks that don't believe because they're like, "Wow, you seem rational and fun
Yeah.
and all this," and from the opposite end, it's like, "Wow, you swear and you're fine with people that aren't married living together, and et cetera, et cetera." So
So
you just
basically, from both
kind of,
ends, you get, oh, you're a good person.
well, it's more confusion and more of like, well,
Yeah.
why are you this? Why can't you be more on this side of things?
Like they want you to polarize more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's more of and that's the thing, is that some people, and I probably have I've lost some relationships, or at least not necessarily deep ones, but surface level relationships that could have gotten deeper, have been lost both because of said faith. It shouldn't, but that's the reality.
That really sucks.
Yeah. So I kind of operate alone too, and that's the thing, is that finding a church out here, it's like it's just like any other issue. It's either, oh, your shit's crazy, or it's like, oh, you see Christ as a product.
Yeah, we know what that's
And
like.
that is a shameless plug for something that'll come out like 4 or 5 months from now. I'm writing 2 scripts for Some More News, one of which, the original pitch, I'm going to tell you the name of the original pitch.
Okay.
The original pitch was for one big mega script called How the Death of American Christianity is Good for the Country and for Jesus.
Ooh, I like that.
And but it's being split up into kind of more of a two-parter. One is focused on how the rise of the Christian right and how the GOP has kind of staked a claim to the Christian faith.
Yep.
Or at least the modern version. And the other, and essentially kind of breaking down like, okay, well, how did this happen? And the other, the commercialization of Christianity, and how that has been a negative impact.
Yeah.
And you could, and I know the argument can be, well, that could be an issue for so many other faiths and religions. It's like, not in the U.S. In the U.S., this is uniquely a Christian issue. I'm sure that there are. Listen, I know that there are Hanukkah Harry dolls, okay, but for the most part, and predominantly speaking, in terms of a faith having an influence on public policy and in popular culture here in the U.S., it's Christianity ranked number 1 through 6, then Judaism, then Islam, then then everything else all the way down,
and the rest. Yeah,
and so on. So yeah, that's sort of the deal, and that's the thing where I'm at, is that I still have a faith. It's just evolved, and evolved or de-evolved, depending on your perspective. I don't go to church anymore because there's no real church for me to go to that vibes that that either reads the Bible correctly and or just won't accept my values and or
Yeah.
just allow my path to just be the path without
They gotta weigh in.
altering or changing or however.
Yeah, because
And
just
and I'm not
just being
and
happy and being a good person isn't enough.
well, no, I don't. That's the thing, Tommy, and that's the thing I want to stop is the being happy part of being part of this faith.
Hmm.
Is that being an expectation? If
Oh,
I have a
yeah.
if I have a relationship, Tom, I explained this to some very special people in my life that don't believe in anything, uh, and their response was, "Oh, good for you," and I'm like, "Okay." Uh, Hey, Tommy, are you friends with Matt? Yeah?
Hmm.
You know what? I'm so happy for you. I'm glad you found that is a great connection and a way to live is having a relationship and being a friend with Matt. It's not really my thing. I like therapy and all that type of stuff. But having a relationship with Matt, if that's a choice that you make and it makes you a good person and it makes you happy having this friendship with Matt, I'm all for it. It's just I don't really I don't really believe in Matt.
Hmm.
Do you see how stupid that sounds?
It sounds
Hmm.
patronizing.
Yeah.
Bingo.
But I'll say also sounds like it's coming from a place of wanting to be kind in the moment, but
I understand that, but here's the
not
thing.
not asking how they could be. Assuming they have an idea of how they could be kind, instead of like,
Well,
I
that's
just
that there,
Yeah.
and that's what I spell out is like, listen, if you have a relationship with another person, is if a person that is real, why would you react in such a way as you are reacting to me right now?
but how would you
Hold
expect them, like,
on.
how I'm sorry, that sounded antagonistic. I didn't mean it to be.
May I finish
Yeah,
my
yeah.
yeah. So here's the deal. Do I believe in God? Yeah. But like all relationships, I'm not going to be jolly about it all the time. I'm not going to not explore other avenues. If I believe that this entity is real and all that, I don't think of God as a conduit to make my life better.
Yeah.
I don't think of him as a product that makes me feel good. I don't. Yeah. Do I have a great time talking to Matt? Do I have a great time being with Matt? Sure as shit do. Does Matt change my life? Does listening to Matt always make me feel good? Does Matt inspire me to do good things? Sometimes. But maybe I can figure that out from other stuff and other things that I have relationships with.
Hmm.
And that therein lies the issue with with the majority of non-believers, which I don't blame them for having that initial perspective, because that is what is being sold as Christianity here in this country.
Yeah.
Is that if you believe in God, you're going to be happy all the time. You're going to be attached all the time. You're not going to be alone. You're not going to have the lonely feelings. You're going to be, you know what?
Yeah.
I heard from this Joel Osteen person that if you believe in God so much, you can be rich just like him.
He can
He's
eat a
going to
fuck good dick.
bless you with riches here on earth if you give him $25 for his book.
But he does a
Yeah.
great job of hiding the money. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
hiding the charge. He doesn't come right out and say, "Buy my book to be perfect" or whatever. But it's totally implied. It's
Oh, that's the thing. Him, TD Jakes, all these things, even though that's not biblical at fucking all. Do you know what? If anything, the Christ, whether you see him as a character or as a human or as a person, in the translations that we currently read, everything that says is like, you will suffer
Yeah.
because of your association with me. He does not promise any earthly riches. If anything, he was against them.
Yep.
He's told, and that's but that's the thing is American Christianity is how I dub it. The white Jesus
Yeah.
is
Mhm.
that it is a creation of capitalistic culture that has leached on to this faith and has leached on to
It's
people
Christian capitalism.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
And it's leached on to a lot of folks, a lot of well-minded, great-minded folks that desperately want to do good in the world, and maybe they get a piece of that good
Maybe.
in return.
Yeah.
And that is the thing I despise the most and the thing I am the most angry about.
Yeah.
So that's that's my stance and my reaction in terms of and I think we discussed this last week in terms of whether or not Christ was real or not and everything. I don't care. I'm at an age right now in which I'm evolved to the point in which I don't care, and it doesn't matter. Being that I'm a finite person with a finite brain, I will never know. I will either know when I'm dead or I will be dead.
Yeah.
But what I do know is this: is that whether that's not to say that there aren't methods of living a good life through other forms of faith and non-faith. A lot of the character or person of Christ's ideas are very good ideas of not only living a good life, but making a great life for others too, while I'm at it.
That's the key.
So that works for me.
Yeah.
And that's enough for me.
So on that same note, so my question for before was, what's an approach? All right, so if I'm one of those friends and I don't believe anymore, and someone is telling me about their faith, and I don't want to, and it's clear that like it's doing good things for them, and it's not like an LGBTQ situation, where somebody is feeling utterly oppressed and just it's not a good situation.
Would it be easier to role play what you're asking?
No,
or not? Oh, we already discussed role play. It's not your thing. I'm sorry. Please continue.
No, that's okay. So it sounds like they were doing their best to respond kindly, but what is a way that would be a good way for you to hear someone respond to that without being patronizing?
Oh, cool. And then moving on.
You mean like the comment and now everything's chill and that was a conversation and we're done with it kind of thing?
Unless we want to get into it.
Oh, you mean like right now and then moving on?
No. What I mean is, Matt, tell me that you're a Christian. Just for the sake, I know this is a role play, but
I'm a Christian.
Cool.
See,
the end. You don't need to say anything else.
No.
You don't need to tell me, oh, it's so good for you. Much like I don't need to tell you how bad it is that you're an atheist or whatever.
No, I get that. And so I had a recent experience where I told some people that used to be good friends, or I thought they were good friends, and they really weren't.
Mm-hmm.
and I like told him that that I found out I'm autistic, and like nobody said anything. Maybe somebody said cool, but because it was such a big deal for me that like I found that out, and it made a lot of sense of a lot of things for me, to have like extremely minimal response or no response was kind of hurtful, because it was a big deal for me to find that out, and like people I thought were interested in like
Well,
me
I think
doing well.
in your circumstance, I think one, you had shitty friends. Two, you had friends that didn't know how to properly respond because maybe they themselves have a version of autism. Everyone's on the spectrum.
One
I
or
be,
two might.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or the other. My response would have been like, "Well, how does that make you feel?"
Yeah, something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would have been good. Yeah.
how does that make you feel? Just so I can know how to respond to the next thing.
Yeah. One of
Because
my
Yeah.
favorites.
that'd be really shitty of me to be like, "Oh, dude, that sucks."
Right. That's an assumption.
Right.
And also,
Yeah.
it's also kind of weird to be like, "Hooray!"
Yeah, I get that. My favorite thing with, especially with my kids, when sometimes I don't, I love them and I want to show them I love them, but like sometimes
Hmm.
conversationally I don't know what to do, because I'm like, can our brains just link up and we just, why do we need to do the talking thing? So my favorite thing to say to people is, well, tell me about that, or I want to hear more about that, or just,
Yeah,
and
that's
that's
good.
Yeah. Yeah. So
You can,
I guess instead of like, so like in Barnes in your example where, the person just says something like, "Oh, good for you." Like, don't tell the person it's good for them. Ask them, like you said, "How is that for you?"
yeah, and I'll respond to you. Being a Christian is frustrating as fuck in this country,
yeah.
uh, and that's the deal.
Mm, yeah.
Like
But
before
yeah,
we move on,
I'm
I want
sorry.
to. Taylor Tomlinson has a bit in one of her recent specials where she talks about she got on top of one of her boyfriends, and his response was "Good for you," or he was like, "Look at you,"
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because that was like outside her comfort zone. It's like that's awful.
No, that's terrible. And it makes a presumption about the relationship in the sense, right? Of like, oh, good for you, you found Jesus. It's like, oh, good for you, you found yoga. Oh, good for you, you found therapy. Oh, good for you, as if it's like a
Yeah,
self-help thing.
Mhm.
it is for
And
some
that's
people. You know.
but the problem is that it was the reason that has the mentality in it is that it's the marketing of it.
Yeah. No,
And
I get that.
and using Christianity as a product as opposed to just,
Yeah.
you know, uh, to me, believing in God and something bigger than myself, to me, is like saying this is going to fall. It just is. I don't have I don't have any reasoning behind it. I know it's anecdotal. I know there's science that goes against it, obviously, but but that's the thing, is that to me it's just a fact. It, it is faith, obviously. Faith
Hmm.
is not a fact,
But
but
they're saying it functions like a fact.
here's the
Yeah.
thing: this falling doesn't make my life better. Doesn't
Hmm.
make food taste better. Doesn't And the problem is people are like, well, then why do you believe in a God if it doesn't make you feel good? And it's like, because it's not about
Yeah.
reality, whether the reality is without God or the reality is with a God that exists. It isn't happy all the time,
Hmm.
one way or the
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
Water is wet whether I'm smiling or not.
hmm yeah, like because the reaction, like now being like on this side of it, like it's so like it still feels weird for me to like speak for atheists, like being
Yeah,
relatively new at it myself, so feel like, oh
sure,
yeah,
sure.
us atheists, like yeah, I've been at it for like 2 years, but but then you kind of get that response like, well, atheism, that's just so unfulfilling. Like you got nothing to believe in anymore. And it's like, I'm like, well, first of all, like you said, I mean, I believe that you can't really like truly choose what you believe and what you're convinced of. It's like either like if
You're
you
not convincing me of this, so I don't know.
well, see, but so for me, like losing faith like had nothing to do with how it made me feel. It was
Right.
just I
Actually
was just
felt
no
worse,
longer
wouldn't it?
convinced. It's like I could now if I
And
want now there were obviously there would be a lot of ways where I probably would still feel better like if I still had faith so I could like force myself to, but then like do I really believe or am I just trying to make like literally make believe
right,
kind of thing.
right.
So yeah,
Yeah,
so I
and
think
the other and
yeah.
go ahead, finish. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say to me like the thing that's most important is just being intellectually honest with yourself, whether it means you
Yeah,
believe or you don't believe. Like,
Yeah.
don't like, well, I want to believe to be happy, or I want to not believe to piss somebody
and
off, or whatever. You know, it's
well,
yeah,
that's the problem with atheists being portrayed in a lot of popular culture, and there's much.
yeah,
Trust me, and I have a bit about this that I won't torture you both with, but the problem is evangelical thought on either side of the aisle of the topic,
Yeah.
uh, because the deal is a true atheist. The problem with atheists being depicted, specifically in Christian media and in general. I love you, Mando. Um, for listeners, Matt produced
yeah.
a Mandalorian
Bobblehead thingy.
Funko Pop.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you
but
for taking the listening audience into consideration there, Barnes. We appreciate
sure,
that.
sure, of course.
I didn't.
But but ultimately the thing of it is that the depictions in media are they don't not believe in God. They're just mad at God. They're like, oh, I hate him so
Oh yeah, yeah.
much that he doesn't exist. Which is, and that's the problem is that real atheists don't take that perspective seriously either because like I'm mad at a thing that I'll show you. I'm just not going to believe in you.
We all had
Uh,
our Kevin Sorbo
that'll,
phase. Yeah.
that'll show you, God. That'll show you. Because that's the thing.
Yeah.
And that's not to say there aren't some extremists that do that, but that's minimal. The vast majority. That's like getting. That's like
I
getting.
haven't seen that any of them really.
I hate you, Roger Rabbit. Grr, you know.
I
Yeah.
would watch
I'm
that
mad at this
YouTube.
thing that doesn't affect me one way or the other.
I would
Yeah, 'cause-
watch a YouTube channel somebody just getting like theologically mad at cartoons.
But that is like an episode I actually want to do sometime. Of just the things that like annoy me about other atheists as well, like
Yeah.
different arguments and different approaches that are made, like in our own community, if you want to call it that. But yeah, because the thing with like the whole like atheist caricature, if you want to call it that, some in the rare occasion you might find this, but the whole thing of like atheists being mad at God kind of thing, which you know obviously if you're an atheist, nothing really be mad at. No, but I get how
It's stupid to be mad at a thing that it's
yeah
one thing to be upset at a system
yes
that's inspired by
Right.
the thing you don't believe that exists.
Yeah.
But to be mad at a thing that doesn't, that's
yeah now and I understand how a lot of like the rhetoric and argumentation from like the atheist side can definitely come across that way because I
Mhm.
think a lot of times they're approaching it as more of like an internal critique. So it's basically saying like, so you have an atheist talking with like an evangelical or whoever, and it's like, okay, tell me about the God you believe in and that you're trying to convince me is real. And so like the like Mr. Fundamentalist Evangelical like presents their view of like asshole
Yeah.
genocidal God who wants to send them to hell and stuff. And it's like, well, that guy sounds like a dick. So
I think the problem is debate
yeah,
in general.
that
In the
can be
sense that
yeah.
what I mean is the atheists that want to debate other Christians or other people of faith to prove that there isn't a God, and on the opposite end, the people of faith that want to prove that there is one, is exhausting and annoying and terrible for both sides. Whereas, and also, in my opinion, not important. It's not an important debate. What is an important debate is, hey, you hate these kids getting killed, right? So do I. Maybe we should figure something out about that. Because whether God is real or not, this is a problem that we both mutually should find solutions to.
What if somebody
Past the
thinks
differences.
that it might be part of God's plan for those kids to die, and they haven't heard from God if they should try to get in the way or not?
Yeah, that's great. I'm going to talk to this rational person over here, though.
See,
because that could be and that can also be an atheist remark, like, well, these people are following their fake faith, and that's why they're dying.
Well,
that's
see,
stupid.
I heard that almost. I tailored the argument a little bit, but when we were involved with Tommy wasn't there when this. No, you were, Tommy. You were there, and so was the Scarecrow and the Lion. We just had a meeting for that the man camp prayer thing. It was like a prelim, like get your shit together kind of meeting, and afterwards,
I hope that's what the man camp program was called. The get your shit together.
No, that would actually be the unofficial title of it.
Yeah, for Tom, that would be very on brand for the people putting that together. Yeah,
God bless.
So we afterwards we're in the parking lot. Somebody was like talking about the circle of us talking, and one of the guys was like somebody close to him. I don't know if his sister-in-law, somebody close to him, had a stillbirth. The baby died in utero, hadn't been born yet, and so. I should explain. There's also there's like a ranking, like an authority ranking in this group,
in the prayer team.
The group.
Yeah,
I thought it was okay. I was confused for half a moment because there's a ranking in terms of stillborn birth and how tragic it is compared to.
This is my lack of transition.
No. I hope you know that I'm bringing levity to it.
No, I know.
I hope I'm not. I hope you know that I'm poking fun with love, friend.
No, I do, and I also feel compelled to act like you're not, and that's the autism thing.
Yeah. I'm sorry, bud. I apologize. Please continue.
No, you don't. No, because in my head, both things are happening, and I know which one's real, but I still have to respond to the one that isn't real.
I can still apologize for allowing you for presenting an opportunity for you to think the non-real thing is real.
Thank you, and you don't have to.
Okay.
Just accept the apology, damn it! It's making it awkward for me.
Okay. Right, so
this is the same dynamic we all had 20 years ago.
I know, I love it.
Keep going, Matt. I keep derailing. I apologize.
So I know you've heard of the term spiritual authority, and so in this group, the spiritual authority is very much like a hierarchy kind of thing. You just kind of know the guys who have more spiritual authority, and you defer to them whenever they open their mouth about something that sounds important. And in some ways, it was great to have like a social respect hierarchy kind of thing. That felt evolutionarily healthy. It just spoke anyway. So this guy was like, this really terrible thing's happening to this girl I know and her husband, and so we're like, let's pray for that baby to come back to life. Let's pray for the doctors to be wrong. Let's pray for just this thing to not be the way it is, and this baby to live. And this guy with the spiritual authority goes, wait, we don't know if that's what God wants, and you don't want to pray for things that God doesn't want. That's not good for your relationship with him. And I was like,
first of all, if I'm mortal, I don't know what God wants. That's kind of the thing.
Yeah.
Second of all, shut the fuck up. I'm allowed to wish for good things for my friend.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to. Whether I believe in miracles or not, I'm allowed to think that. Number
Yeah.
three, if God has a plan, then why the fuck are we doing anything at all? Because it'll just happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember the situation,
Including
like,
him saying that, mind you.
huh. Yeah.
Uh,
So, because
so
I remember the situation, I
I
remember
don't
at the
like your
time,
friend,
because like,
by the way.
yeah, you're like,
He,
so the guy who was the
he's
guy
a
who
good
was
guy
like,
despite himself.
yeah. So, but like the guy who was praying for like the good things to happen, like I remember like we were talking about, he's like awesome dude, like
Yeah.
this genuinely caring, loving individual, and but I just what really like broke my heart in that situation, because even this was even then when I was like totally into like that whole type of like spiritual whatever
Yeah,
thing.
me too.
But I remember at the time, just so after the guy basically like rebuked him for saying like you shouldn't pray that, and then the guy who prayed it
Fuck
was
you,
like,
it's my prayer. I can
no,
pray for whatever I want.
no, but like what kind of
I
broke
know
my
it was.
heart is like he totally had this posture of, oh, I'm sorry, and then he like kept trying. He's saying like, well, but I was feeling this. Like he felt like he had to justify himself to this other dude for asking God for a good thing.
See, that's the dark side of that kind of
Yeah,
structure.
yeah,
That's 1,000,000,000% the dark side of that kind of structure.
yeah.
Um, I hope that your friend found comfort elsewhere, and that
No, he didn't.
it's.
As far as I know,
Fuck.
he's still involved with that group. Maybe
Well,
not
what I'm,
that
uh,
thing, but
I'm,
Yeah.
I presume that the worst occurred.
I hope he's all right. So that guy who wanted to pray is an awesome guy. Would be an awesome guy without the faith. Also,
Sure, of course, of
the
Yeah.
first
course.
guy who rebuked him, I think without the
I'm
faith,
asking, is the child alive? Is what the point of? Okay,
as far as I know, no. I mean,
okay.
I never, because I would have heard something about it in that group. Like if an amazing thing happened, it just would have been passed around as like
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
a victory and all that. So I've noticed that there seems to be two categories, like not to polarize, but it's easiest to do a this or that category thing.
Mm-hmm.
So there seems to be Christians who fall on the justice side of God and the love side of God, and very few
Yeah,
of them that
it's
really
almost there's
wrestle
like two
with it.
different testaments that shouldn't have been paired together.
Well, you think?
Almost.
Yeah, and it's almost like it's an assortment of books that were randomly put together by Constantine just cause.
So that the people
Hmm.
that are on the justice side, they see justice as loving, even if you're an asshole when you deliver it. And so those people who I think without their faith would probably be like worse assholes. And then the people who are on the love side, some of them, the ones who are like deeper into the fundamentalism stuff, it's clear that without the fundamentalism, they would be a more loving person. But they feel like they have to. When I'm talking fundamentalism, I mean taking a lot of things in the Bible as literal
Yeah,
and looking at specific verses for how do I deal with this situation, and it might not have any application, but
yeah,
it
Yeah.
sounds like it does.
Yeah.
So
And
that
God's going to send people to hell for eternity, and that's a good thing that I need to be happy about.
exactly. Yeah,
Kind of
yeah.
bullshit.
it's
Yeah.
like if you're not happy about it, just don't be happy. Like you're
Yeah.
lying
But then,
if you stuff it down. That's
yeah. Hmm.
it's like a lie of omission. It's just not you just ignore it. It's not part of your life. But it's always in the background eating at you. And just
Well,
like
the thing is that the Christian mission isn't about worrying about souls. That's a God problem. It isn't worried about the fate of this child. Of course, pray for the
why not?
yeah.
Yeah,
Of course,
Yeah.
why not pray for the positive result, right?
Yeah.
Or the one that the loving result. Uh, what the Christian mission to do is, and the thing that people keep forgetting, and I truly believe the best parable in the Bible that sums up the faith is the story of the Good Samaritan,
Hmm.
because it is someone showing love through action to a person they don't know, to a person that hates them. we keep forgetting that Samaritan was like saying, you know, might as well have been a racial slur
Yeah,
at the
essentially.
time, essentially, and that was just meant to illustrate the point of there was some higher person of faith that's like, oh, I'll pray for you while you die in the streets, or ew, you're sickly, I'm not going to touch you, and all that. But
Right.
this one person, the person that did not share, that was not Jewish, that was uh, not favored, just is like, fuck, I gotta help this guy. Here, feed him,
Hmm.
house him, clothe him. Here's some
Yeah.
money. I gotta go.
Yeah.
That's the most Christian thing ever. So so the Christian thing in that situation, if you want to pray, pray, but it's essentially saying, dude, that sucks. I'm sorry you're going through this. What can I do to help you?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's like an empathetic grief ritual, you know?
Yeah,
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
yeah. Here's the thing. If it's like, what if God doesn't want us to do that? That's a God problem.
Yeah.
that's
Then
That's a God
sounds
problem.
like
That's not a you problem.
yeah, and if he really
Stop
felt
it.
that strongly about you not praying for this, he'd like let you know somehow that
Well,
or
he would let you know
yeah.
somehow, or he won't, and it's just because it's none of your fucking business.
Yeah. Either way,
Your business
whatever.
is your business is being there for your brother who you love.
Hmm.
That's your business.
Yeah.
Everything else, that's a God decision. That's
Yeah.
not yours. And if you think this is coming from a Christian mindset, mind you, if
Hmm.
you're thinking that you know what God wants, that you know more than God does, then guess what? You are far off the wagon than you think you are. You
Hmm.
need to
yeah.
readjust yourself.
So the guys in that prayer group,
Yeah.
so I think what was happening when like a large percentage of the guys would be like there would be an agreement that it really felt like God was moving this particular way. And what I think now that might be true, and something else that might be true that was never considered, and this is kind of like getting in that area of knowing God's thoughts and just assuming you do, is if people are actually being sensitive to spiritual, emotional movement kind of stuff, then they could also just as easily be picking up on that lots of people there are in agreement about that and kind of
Yeah,
mistaking the group agreement, the unspoken, you can kind of sense it for God and just assuming it's God. And in the process, you could be assuming that that was something that like just the people in the group want and attributing it to God and not really questioning it. Um, just kind of a lack of humility
yeah,
and because if demon stuff is real and there were things that we saw that or happened like adjacent to the tent when we were in there that something was happening and if it's real maybe we don't fuck with it like just kind of the arrogance to be like we have this system and this will handle it. Where'd you get it? We
yeah,
pieced together things in a book.
yeah.
Like was it a list in the book that told you how to do this? No, we pulled it from like
If we made it
hundreds of years
ourselves.
difference in time and writing
Yeah,
style and
yeah. You're looking at a guy that does not believe in demons or anything like that, and I just see that as an excuse and a crutch for people to do uh, vile behavior. Um,
Hmm.
or justifying vile things on the
Yeah.
other end of the spectrum.
Yeah. Or even
Uh,
just lazy things. Because like I've been in
that
plenty of
too.
situations where I'm like like in various like church groups or ministry organizations or whatever where we're trying to get like something done and I say, okay, for my part, here's what I need from other people in order for me to do the thing I need to do. the other people don't do the things that I told them I need them to do, and then things end up not going well, and then everyone's reaction like, "Oh, this is an attack from the enemy. Like demons aren't wanting us to get this." And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, no, you're just not fucking
It's
respecting
a
my
cop out.
requests.
No,
Yeah.
it's a cop out.
Hmm.
That's all it is.
Every time
But
I've seen demonic something or heard about it, if I wasn't like, able to see it or hear it, it's always been something that could also be explained as a mental health problem.
yeah,
Now, and there is something that was happening in there, like the peer counseling kind of aspect, just the rawness of people willing to be open, was causing something to happen where it seemed like people were going through like mental health breakthroughs that might normally take a longer time in therapy, but it was happening really fucking fast in the prayer situation. And if you can imagine like breakthroughs that, or just progress that happens in therapy, if you can imagine that like shotgunned into like 5 minutes, like that would wreck somebody, and it would look like they're under the influence of something, and really it's just
yeah,
like all the happiness, all the grief, all the feelings, just like
Yeah. All the
yeah.
everything. Yeah.
All
and
the everything.
Hmm.
yeah. And like just because it looks bad or it feels bad, why is the assumption that it's something evil? It could
Right.
be the
Yeah.
doorway to something even better.
And again, if it's evil and you believe that there's something above you that could handle it better, that's on them, not you.
Yeah, I like the idea of just going.
Amen.
So when I was going through deconstruction, yes, and when I was still serving there as I was deconstructing, I realized that it seemed like calmness and just wanting to go through what that person was going through, just go through it with them, and kind of whatever it felt like
Yeah.
was the next step that they needed to take but were scared to, just take that with them, and amazing stuff happened. And that person had a much better experience when it was handled that way versus when it was handled as spiritual warfare. It's like
Yeah.
the same breakthrough happened, but one was way more unpleasant for the person. I don't know what that means, but it seemed to be consistent.
Well, in the situation you discussed with your friend who unfortunately lost lost their child in that case, and that you know obviously you don't say this to the person, but if you believe that there is something after this life, then everything is okay one way or the other. Yes, be sad that you won't be able to share time
Yeah,
with your unborn child, or that you won't have this. Mourn that,
Hmm.
and that's understandable. But in terms of you know uh, the heaven hell stuff, you're 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 going to see them again, whether you see them again or not. It's more of a, so if you're approaching the mindset of death is not the end,
Hmm.
then if and you aren't, obviously if it's your situation, your head is not going to be in a logical spot one way or the other, whether you believe it or not. It's
yeah,
just not.
Yeah.
As a Christian brother, whatever you want to call the relationship, my whole thing isn't to remind him, by the way, don't worry about your kid dying because you're gonna
Yeah.
see it.
Hmm.
It's more
yeah,
of, this dude is going through shit right now. I need to be there to, as a condolence and a comfort, in case the
Yeah.
worst happens, and just
Yeah.
remind them that, you know in our case, in our situation, there is death is not the end, and to focus more on Well, the positive end, if a miracle happens and the child lives, celebration. But if it doesn't, that doesn't occur, mourn the fact that you could not spend time with this person, not necessarily mourn the person that didn't have the time.
Yeah.
Um, so if there's a comfort in that at all, not worried about what fucking God. That's the thing too, is that we tend to think God as petty a lot, a lot, a lot.
Yeah, the Old Testament lends
And
itself to that.
I know it can, but there's a reason why there's the New Testament. Apparently, that God doesn't act that way anymore, or ever did.
Yeah, or you got them all wrong.
So,
Or, yeah.
or everything's wrong. You know.
Or
I,
it's everybody's best guess. You know, like
yeah, or it's everyone's best guess.
Yeah.
I'm I'm on the best guess group
or
about all that, mostly because
yeah,
I
or
refuse to.
I was going to say, or oddly enough, it was like just Habakkuk nailed it. The rest of them,
Yeah.
maybe.
Or,
Joel was
but,
way off. But yeah,
Joel was what? Yeah, exactly. But for me, I refuse to believe in a deity that does not display perfect behavior. And perfect behavior is beyond something as fickle and as flawed as human belief. It is beyond pettiness. It is beyond bureaucracy. Because that's ultimately what it is, right? That's ultimately what the Jesus of the gospel is like. It's like, no, God isn't. The bureaucracy of the whole thing, the hierarchy, if you will,
I will. Yeah,
isn't real.
Right. The social hierarchy in that environment was real.
Bingo. What are the greatest commands?
Love your neighbor as yourself and love God with everything.
Bingo. Done.
What's interesting is that I think it's in Mark, that's where Jesus lists them as the same. He's like,
he's like, and the second is like it. Yeah.
Right. Which means loving the neighbor as yourself is the same as loving God.
What a concept!
A super deep philosophical concept that like churches should just like unpack for like a whole year. Because like if we're saying that like because in that commandment there's this equating God with self with others.
Yeah.
And loving one is loving the others. And if loving one means not loving the others, then you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
And I also think if you replace God with like let's say somebody's not a believer and whatever their philosophy of life is, you could say that like if you aren't living out who you are and what you believe when you are loving yourself or other people, then you're not really doing that. And so the way I heard like an atheist YouTuber put it recently, and it was mind shift. Former brainy evangelical, still brainy, but his biggest thing now is he actually, and I agree with him. This is kind of where I am too. Like I don't care if somebody's a believer. I want them to live their own philosophy, because if they're not living what they really believe, then they're hurting themselves and they're going to hurt other people because they're not being honest. And so people not being like internally philosophically consistent in their own life, just like if somebody says family is the most important thing to me, right? But that's not what their life shows, then either own up that it isn't, and that's okay. It's just not what you want for your life. And or if it is, then something's in the way. You got to drop this other stuff. Like, what's keeping you there? Because if your family is the most important thing to you, then this other stuff has to go. And I really like that, because the way I would put it is, I want people to be themselves, and if I can help them be themselves just by being me, then that's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I have no interest in converting, but I don't necessarily agree with just letting, if people aren't following the philosophy of themselves, it's that they attest to that it's a good excuse me, trying to function the sentence in my brain.
Yeah.
If your philosophy is nihilism, I don't think that if it's like extreme nihilism, because nihilism is a spectrum, much like how Christianity, there's so many different kinds, and Judaism and so on and so forth.
I consider
I don't
myself
think
an optimistic nihilist.
Yeah, I have a bunch of friends that are those, but some of them are not, and that's a way of life that negatively impacts other people.
Right. But now, sorry, I cut you off.
No. But that's the thing. It's like if you're being your true self and your true self is shitty and impacts other people negatively, fuck you. I'm sorry. You need to be stopped.
Or if you can keep it all to yourself, just go off by yourself, do your thing in your cave or whatever somewhere.
Just don't hurt anybody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who don't want that to happen should get that person's way. My point is, if that is really where that person is when they are being truly themselves, then
you got to meet people where they're at.
Right. That person complying with better social norms would probably hinder them from actually growing into that. And it seems also people who are actually nihilistic, they're like, and like that's really
for instance, I have nothing against nihilism as a philosophy.
And if that's really where they are, and they can't get out of it, then it's because that's where their brain biology is, and and there's probably like a hard stop, like past which they're not going to grow into like greater social norms. I don't mean greater like as I mean greater meaning like more people have that view,
right?
So. And that person's mental health is probably going to improve more greatly by being themselves and getting comfortable with themselves, or realizing they're not comfortable with that belief or with themselves in that belief, but they might not really realize that until they are full into it.
Yeah, no, I get that, and it's. I'm trying to remember, and maybe you both know better than me. It's been a while since I've done a Bible study, but there was one particular part in the Gospels in which the apostles said, "Hey, Jesus, this guy, he's been healing and blessing people, but he's not one of us. We got to stop him." And Jesus is like, fucking no.
like, why?
Let him be. And that is ultimate. That's, the first great entry in the Bible is, Good Samaritan. Second is that because guess what? Christian ideals don't have to be rooted in Christianity. And that's okay.
A lot of them aren't. Like even in the New Testament.
A lot of them just happen to be good ideals in general.
Yeah, so you see them in other like traditions.
Christian roots. Again, Good Samaritan, right? Samaritans weren't Christian. Christianity wasn't a thing. They weren't even Jewish.
Yeah. No, but they used to be Jewish. They
Oh,
Right. But
they stayed with another culture and like adopted like a blend of Judaism and that culture. So they were kind of like they were the biblical equivalent of former Christian atheists. Like at
right.
least
But
yeah.
the
So
to their
basically, like
the
Jesus was
origins
basically
and the background are immaterial in this
right.
case. It's
Yeah. So
the point and the crux is um, maybe don't bother people with the Jesus part because Jesus is already there, so to
yeah,
speak.
it's basically Jesus saying, "Hey, you know who like did a good job of following me and what I'm all about? This guy who doesn't even know who the fuck I am."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't
So
need him. I don't need him to know me. I'll get to know him later.
yeah, because I mean, I think it was in First John.
Have you met
This is
humanity? There's a lot of you. There's
I know,
so many.
I
I'll
know.
meet all of you in time, eventually,
Yeah.
maybe. But for now, just, let him go. He's
Because
okay. He's cool.
again, going back to like when I was a Christian in my final form, if you want to call it that, one of my favorite verses. I don't remember the exact reference, but it was in First John where it
Mhm.
says like everyone who loves is born of God and knows God.
Bingo.
So it says
There's
like
a reason why we
so that's
say God.
basically all it says is like, oh, if you want people to know me, well, if they're loving, they already do. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a reason why there's so, contemporary Christian artists always lean heavily on love is God, God is love. And maybe that's what God is. It is just the concept of love. Maybe it isn't a deity at all.
Yeah, maybe it's something we just kind of took an idea and kind of personified it as
Yeah,
a thing.
maybe
But
it is. Maybe it's not, but maybe it is.
hmm
It's not for me to. It's it, here's the thing. It is a fun thing to debate. It is a fun thing to ponder over and debate and talk about. But
hmm
ultimately, in the end, in terms of action, it is immaterial whether the phrase God is love, love is God refers to a deity or not.
hmm yeah,
It is, if there's anything that can save in quotes the world, it's the basic, it's
Yeah.
the, it's the, pardon the phrasing, it's the basic bitch Christianity,
I like it.
which is love your God with all your heart, love your neighbor as yourself. Done. And if love your God with all your heart is the concept of love, all the easier.
There you go. Simple, not easy, but simple. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's the other thing too, is that the path of Christianity being that. Oh, I'm glad you found it this way to make your life easier.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
again,
Which also like
Christianity, the product is being sold as that.
hmm
So
yeah. Which again, saying like from my point of view, like there's like so many like apologists for evangelicals that say like, oh, that people who like deconverted, they just wanted the easy way out. So like
Man, it's not easy.
I'll talk with you sometime, let you know how fucking easy it was.
It like happens without your say so. Like it's just kind of like, oh, this is happening. How do I deal with this? And there was no decision not to believe anymore. It was
Yeah.
more like, oh, this is happening, and then that's happening, and then after kind of looking back, you're like, oh, I guess I don't believe anymore. When did that happen?
Yeah. But yeah, it's almost like whether like no matter what you believe or don't believe, life is just kind of not easy.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
being alive is the hardest thing a person can do.
hmm
And you know what? Something that
Yeah.
Maybe we should stop making it harder than it has to be.
Yes.
Just a thought.
yeah,
Yeah. Make it not so expensive to just exist and live and
seriously, why does
yeah.
just being alive have to be expensive?
Money's a thing that we made up. Yeah.
Yeah, like the way
Yeah.
the way I saw it put, it's like, dude, like I literally live on a planet that grows its own food. Why do I have a credit score?
Oh, you're really gonna like my very first Some More News,
Ooh,
the one
okay.
that I pitched that got me the job.
Oh, yeah?
I like
Credit
liking
scores
things.
should credit scores shouldn't be a thing is the title.
I
I
haven't
like it
watched
already.
that one yet.
That's me, baby.
Ooh,
No, I
You'll
agree.
see.
And
Look for my name in the credits.
nice.
I don't understand why Congress hasn't gotten on that because it's they are proprietary algorithms that govern people's financial success. And
You've already answered your own question.
yeah,
Good job, Matt. You did it.
wait, what was I gonna say before? Oh, the thing that's been so suffering, right? A lot of
Right.
Transition.
so I've been thinking about this a lot, right? Okay, so human suffering is the result of body chemicals and sensations and stuff. So like pain from getting like physically hurt is something that's useful to avoid getting hurt again and to avoid continuing to damage the injured area. So and the same with a lot of like psychological hurt. A lot of it is just responses to stimuli that are helpful for survival. So like suffering is a thing, and in a way it isn't. It's just how we're wired to respond to things that are bad for us. And
Hmm.
I don't know what to do with that because it's very real. Like when you feel it, like when it's happening to you, or when you see it happening to other people, and at the same time, it's it's a perception of what's happening. Like we walk around and step on plants all the time, or like bugs accidentally, sometimes on purpose, and like suffering is a thing that happens, like all up and down the consciousness spectrum,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we act like it's like the end of the world or something to utterly be avoided, and I think it's more something to be managed, like you said, just avoiding undue suffering. Like suffering is going to happen. Why do we need to make it worse?
Yeah.
And at the same time, like
Yeah.
just not putting suffering on this pedestal as like the anti-god or something.
Depends on the suffering, but yeah.
True.
Yeah. Penance is a thing that's fetishized and valued, which is like, oh, suffering for the sake of something greater and higher,
Right.
which
Right.
is
Hmm.
garbage.
Yeah.
Every culture has their own deal with that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Well, also, so there is pleasure within pain as well too. Just because of it's a role, I'm a person that belongs within a certain culture, and within that culture, a it is not necessarily for some people it is the suffering that is the pleasure, and for some people it is recovery and surviving and just the roller coaster, the dip after the big dip down.
Hmm.
That's the rush, the post suffering that
Mhm.
makes it worth going through it.
Hmm.
So
That makes sense.
Yeah. Totally.
that's how people are wired.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that because I know you didn't want to before.
No, it's just it's complex, and it's something private that involves
Yeah.
individuals that have not consented to me talking about acts.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. I don't need stories or anything for sure.
No one does.
Hmm.
No, it's weird when people. Honestly, I think when people share like when people share too much about their wife or their girlfriend or something, I'm like, nah, it's just weird. Please
Yeah.
stop.
It all there's a time there. I mean, it depends on the type of relationship you have with the person that is saying the said things.
Yet,
Maybe some people are welcome to it, but nine times out of 10, uh, don't fuck out of school.
that reminds me of that line from Fight Club.
Don't fuck out of school.
No, she said when what's her name?
Oh, that one. Yeah,
You
yeah.
haven't been fucked like that since grade school.
Did you know that was a line that was supposed to
Yeah, I
cover
know.
up a different line?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The first one, I don't. I
I don't remember
honestly,
what the first one was.
they're equally caustic. I don't. I don't. The first one was, "I want you to be the father of my abortion,"
That's the one. Yeah, yeah.
and I'm like, is that more dark? I think it's the same.
Yeah,
Depending on your perspective, yeah.
yeah. Depends who you ask.
Yeah. No, they were both good.
Oh,
She delivered both really well. The one is a
yeah.
special feature on. No, I don't think it's I don't think it's on the DVD. I think it was in some after the fact documentary.
I think you're right. I don't remember. Well, that was our Fight Club chat.
We broke the first rule and the second rule.
Oh no,
Damn
That
it!
movie I need to watch again.
that's
I've only
fine.
seen the second half. I
I
don't
love.
remember why I saw the second half. I've only also seen the second half of Boondock Saints. I don't know what's with me in second halves of movies,
I don't know.
but
You flipped
they
on
were
TBS
good.
at the right time. Uh,
I think it was more
no,
just like roommates I had in college. I just like when I came home from class, they were like watching
mm.
something. Like, oh, hey, it's a thing. Cool.
Fight Club is a great movie, except for a lot of people. A good chunk of our generation misinterpreted what it actually was a takedown of toxic masculinity,
Yeah.
and instead it beefed it up. And
Yeah.
just
That's,
and if anyone's like, no, that's not the message, just say, oh yeah, did you know Chuck Palahniuk's a gay man? And
What?
see their reaction.
ah,
After,
good times. Yeah, some people who like, yeah, when people don't realize that satirical caricatures aren't real. It's like you're telling me how it's supposed to
yeah,
be, right? No, opposite of that.
no,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
when the hero of the story is a villain and you're not really supposed to think he's a hero, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Hmm.
Like you're supposed to relate to them and realize that like what this person is living out is living out some like base tendencies of humanity that
yeah,
like we usually are like, no, that's a bad thing, and we ignore it.
yeah. Just because you make a villain sympathetic doesn't mean that they're right.
Yeah,
It just makes them
Right.
relatable.
that was
And
one of the great things about Daredevil is that Kingpin was for a villain very fleshed out.
yeah,
Lots of character development. There was an arc to him. You could see him as kind of an anti-hero initially, similar to Daredevil, and then because of tragedy, he becomes like the part of his humanity he was trying to hold on to disappears, and he's just like, "Fuck it, fuck everybody," and
yeah.
they ruined the one good thing in my life. Fuck them all. And while I don't agree with his conclusion, at the same time, I could really relate to how he was.
You can understand.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. But then for an illustration that I'm actually familiar with, felt the same with the portrayal of Ganondorf in The Legend of Zelda: Wind Waker.
I'm
Yes.
not familiar.
Haha. See how it feels?
That'll show 'em.
For real.
I don't know. I'm not rooting for anyone here.
Yeah, I
You're
appreciate
both
that.
equally villains that have made right and wrong decisions, um,
Hmm.
that are worthy of
Right.
sympathy and understanding, even if I don't agree with the actions that have been taken
Oh,
and
that's
even condemn them.
like we are the hero and the villain of our story.
It's
Yeah,
almost like we're just people, and hero and villain is just a perspective at the time.
right.
Almost. Yeah. Almost just like that. Yeah.
Hmm.
I think focusing on the difference between the two leads to a lot of hardship and heartache.
What the difference between hero and villain in fiction or life in
Internally,
general?
internally, just like the
Mm.
classification is like that was a really bad thing I did, and kind of othering that part of yourself.
I think the issue is that we've taken the ideal and think that we can personify it all the time, which is not something that can happen.
True.
And
Yeah, you have this like view of either like perfection or tainted. So if it's anything less than perfection, I mean, to use religious language, it's unholy now. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
think
I mean, hence the whole like fucked up purity culture thing. But
right.
yeah,
And the other thing is like there's also no room for redemption one way or the other, right?
yeah,
It's like if I'm evil, if I'm labeled evil, then what the fuck else am I then? So I
hmm
guess I won't even try.
yeah, yeah. It's like what else am I
Or
supposed
if
to
I
do?
or
Yeah.
or if I'm just the hero, I have to be the hero all the time. And if I quaver
hmm
even the slightest bit, if I show the littlest bit of flawed humanity, my house of cards crumbles.
Right. Yeah, and then
That's
we extend.
It's almost as if there should have been someone to preach about how it's okay to just be a person, and that we can
Mm,
come back from either one of those things, and we are all just equally people, and we could eliminate suffering easily by just loving one another through empathy and understanding and addressing needs.
mm.
Just a thought.
Interesting.
I heard it from this guy Yeshua.
Hmm.
Um, Anywho,
I thought his name was Josh. Oh well. But
yeah.
well, hey, if we can't find anyone else, you're good at it. So like
Thank you for
I'd be
letting me. Thank you for indulging me in that little bit of
yeah.
snarkiness.
I'd be okay if Barnes was Jesus.
Let's not. No, I'm a terrible Jesus. First of all, I can't rock abs like he can. Apparently, uh,
Yeah, that's true.
Well, there wasn't enough food, so like, I think everybody was rocking abs. More like
well, everyone
rocking
was rocking
ribs.
abs, but also Jesus was considered a glutton and a drunk as well.
Well,
Maybe not the drunk part, but more he loved to
yeah.
party.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
if you're
But I mean,
homeless,
but
where
also,
are
I
you
mean,
gonna
they
go to
were.
get food?
Yeah, I mean, they
Well,
were all on the Mediterranean diet. So
There is that too.
all the hummus
Listen,
you
if
can eat.
I don't know. I don't think I can feed 5,000 people with just two fishes and two loaves, or however many it was.
Have you ever eaten
Five
fish?
fishes
You
is
can't feed one person.
yeah,
yeah. Especially when you try to take all the bones out. Come on.
yeah.
When there's still some in
As
there, and you're like, "Ah."
yeah, right.
Yeah.
As a call back to the 3BG podcast, as the Saint Ron Swanson said, fish fish meat is practically a vegetable.
Well, they don't feel pain.
Still can be pretty tasty though.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
definitely, definitely. Yeah,
And when you
like a
reach
good
a certain
smoke.
age, good for your heart. So
Yeah. hmm
Barnes, do you have Bonefish Grills out there? It's a chain.
the thing about chain restaurants is they exist, but they're kind of very spread out.
Yeah, I was
Um,
wondering if it's like the Northeast, like Boston's the same way. There's hardly any chains, but they have a salmon dish where you can get mango salsa on it, and it's amazing. So mango salsa on grilled salmon in general is very good.
hmm
well, for my birthday, I got a rainbow trout meal over at Granville.
What is Granville?
Exactly. It's just a restaurant. It's a
Yep.
restaurant that serves good steak and good fish.
Yeah. See, that's the thing.
And
Like for the longest time,
good peri peri chicken too. Anyway, keep going.
I was gonna say, like for the longest time, I thought I just didn't like seafood, but then I realized, no, I just live in Ohio. That's the problem.
It's hard to get
Once
good
I had
seafood.
like seafood elsewhere, I was like, oh, this is actually good.
Yeah, because it's not frozen for days to get to inland first.
Well,
Um,
some of it is flown in, but that's
that's what I'm
really
saying.
expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
true too. Fish can be expensive, but
yeah.
when it's good, it's really good.
hmm
And it
Indeed.
also, like everything, it's also about how it's prepared.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
You know,
Mhm.
tilapia, that like generic whitefish, it's
Mhm.
it's the fish they use to clean out the other fish tanks. Their
Yeah,
their bottom feeders, they eat shit. but they're not like catfish. They're just all white meat. They're all white fish, and that's something that really grosses me out.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like with catfish, to me, like I've tried catfish, but like to me, catfish just tastes like fishing.
Oh yeah, yeah. It tastes like fish poop. Like
Why do you think they fry the fuck out of it in the South?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
that's how you make it good.
Yeah.
I know. That's how you make everything good. You just
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you ever had
Fry oil covers a multitude of sins.
Can't. Yeah. You were asking Matt?
Yeah, when I was on co-op in north of Boston, we went up even further. I think we were up near Ipswich or Manchester by the Sea or something, and there was this clam shack where they got their clams out of the water daily, and supposedly the best clams around. And so I'm like, they look gross. I'll try them, and they were steamed, and you had to rip open the shell, rip them out, and then you dunk it in butter sauce, and then kind of just swallow it.
Yeah. No, it's a butter vehicle. That's all it is.
I made the mistake of trying to chew it, and I was like, ah! it's like very tiny haggis.
Now, I have a question, Matt. Did they are you sure it was steamed clams and it wasn't steamed hams, and that's what they called hamburgers?
Ooh.
No, it was clams.
Steamed hams.
It came in a wire bucket, and it was.
Thank you, Principal Skinner.
It was all still.
Did they call them steamed hams when they were obviously grilled?
No, and I don't get this reference.
Like steamed hams. Like Skinner.
A smoked ham is really good.
Well, Seymour, you're an odd fellow, but you steam a good ham.
Yeah.
God, a steamed ham would be so moist, it would be gross.
When you were eating these clams, did you witness an aurora borealis in the kitchen?
No.
Okay.
I could see the kitchen from our table. It was a big pot.
I'm sorry that you don't get the reference, but I love it. But these answers are so wonderful that I can't stop.
I'm digging.
I can't stop, Matt. Yeah. I love them. And
so that was right after we went on a company outing. We were sea kayaking.
Was it an unforgettable luncheon?
Forgettable luncheon?
Was it an unforgettable luncheon?
Oh yeah, but also
Thank you for the yes ending. Keep going. I'm sorry.
So we're doing these sea kayaks, and they have a rudder with these two pedals. But like I was in kind of a short kayak, and so my feet were like this, and the wire attached to my pedals was loose, and so I had like very little control, and I didn't want to own up to the fact that for some reason, I didn't want to just say my kayak's a little busted because they're rentals. Because I was bumping into other people because I couldn't go in a straight line because I'd get the pedal straight and the rudder in the back is still going like this. So I'm bumping into people. And so like I do the autistic masking thing where I pretend I'm doing it on purpose, which just made me look like a weird asshole.
Oh, no.
Or like maybe I was kind of doing it on purpose, but let's keep it a mystery. That was more it. And yeah, because I didn't know how to. It was a brand new situation, and I have a hard time interacting sometimes with people that I know, but I only know them in a particular environment. And so, put them in a different environment, now I'm like, oh, I got to relearn how to talk to this person. And I know that's not really true. But it's just a thing, like my brain can't shift communication contexts very easily. And so like I didn't know most of these people on the outing. And so I'm like, I don't know, who is me in the now? Like
what mask am I gonna wear today?
And it just happens.
Asshole, I choose you.
And it didn't matter if I wanted to be doing that or not. It was just like the default thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, bud. But at least here's the thing. being open about it and all of that leads me to know how to best communicate with you and lets me know how you attempt to communicate with us. So
Mhm.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'll tell you, the people that I continued to hang around, like on purpose, were the people that it was easy to be myself with, and I didn't pretend, or at least I didn't do it. If there was masking, it wasn't one that was detrimental to me. Some
Mhm.
masking is fun. They're like, it's kind of pretending on accident.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do what I call manufactured genuine responses,
Oh yeah, yeah,
where it's like I'll be reacting like externally, like I'll be like forcing myself to act a certain way, but it's genuine because like inside I'm having like all these like reactions and feelings, but they are not externally presenting themselves. So I'm having
yeah,
to make myself do
Yeah.
the thing that I'm thinking in my head. It
yeah,
happens most often if someone's telling me like just some like super terrible or tragic story because like in my brain I'm just kind of like almost just like absorbing it all, just like shutting down, but my body's like I need to react or they're going to think I'm an insensitive asshole.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you know, so but yeah,
yeah. I hear that.
because you talking about like just being able to like be yourself and like unmasking around people. That's something that I've definitely found in the past couple of years. What I think is like most important in like any kind of relationship, like friendship or otherwise, whatever. Like having like common interests, like in like hobbies in common or whatever. It's good, but really what's really important is just people around whom you're able to truly and honestly be yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the most valuable thing that I found.
There's that.
So.
My whole thing is I just take a I was I just take like if I know I'm getting if someone is trying to get my goat or something, sometimes it works, but uh, what I try to do is I try to flip it and make it seem like I was playing as part of a group Discord and we were all playing Mario Kart.
Yeah,
And, there's
yeah,
trash talk and all that for this game for children,
like you
and
do.
like you do. And for me, it's like god damn it, I wanted fifth place. And I kept, and the entire time I was like, come on, fifth place, come on. Fuck, I'm third. Shit. You know? And
It's
just kind
devastating.
of, and they're like, and one guy was like, why are you so obsessed with, I don't understand fifth place. Like, are you kidding? Five is the best. Five. Fifth place.
Five.
Like, oh no, I got eighth. Oh no, I got second. It's like, come on. Always five. Always five. Always five.
Five. It's like the honorary even number.
Yeah, yeah, and that was the. No, you get it. Um, but yeah, and that was the thing. That was like, this is getting too intense for a situation. I also need to check myself and my aggression, and it was like, and like, dude, you're getting mad at a game for children in which there's no money and nothing on the line at all except pride, and pride is worthless. So,
yeah. I
uh,
do that when I play Roblox.
Yeah.
I want to have fun. So so I just went with the whole five thing. Was it annoying? Probably, but it was annoying to the right people, and the other people were
That's
down
key.
with it. It's like, oh man, I'm aiming for first, but Eric, I hope you get that fifth place. I hope you do.
That's
There
awesome.
were people that were like,
Yeah.
Eric, I'm sorry, I got fifth place. And I'm like, oh well, I understand. It's competitive,
Yeah.
but
Somebody
I
had to
gotta
get
get
it.
five. Someone had to get. I'm glad that it's you. I'm glad that you have a fifth honor.
Yeah. But yeah, the whole like yeah,
I will
definitely
keep
like the whole
trying to strive for five, but
strive for
for
five.
now,
Yeah.
you know. But for
Yeah.
now, congratulations.
Yeah. But
So
yeah, like you said, yeah, getting angry and stuff over like such like childish video games. But like unlike earlier today when I was losing my shit playing Dark Souls, that's a mature game, so it's allowed to get pissed off at that.
sure.
Yeah.
Hey Tommy,
It,
I don't see you live anymore. Are we live?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're live. We've been live for 2 hours and 20 minutes, and I love y'all, but I need to eat dinner.
Yeah, just the indicator on my screen went away, so that's why I
Okay.
was asking.
Yeah,
Mm.
we're still live. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
Hey, I got a quick question. It just occurred to me, not really related at all to Fifth Place.
Sure,
Maybe
doesn't
it is.
have to.
So the After Midnight show.
Yeah.
Do you think the kind of like the soft reboot of the old concept of At Midnight? Do you think that is kind of the fact that it's rebooted by a female host and Hardwick did terrible things to females? Do you think it in a way is kind of a dig?
Not intentionally. It's a combination of reasons. It's because they were shopping around the concept of At Midnight for quite some time. James Corden left the Late Late Show,
Yeah.
and people are getting tired of talk shows
Right.
and needed a substitution. It was a way to start fresh because At Midnight was a cable television show, and this is network TV. And I don't know if you noticed this, not a lot of women working late night, so
True.
it's an opportunity for that, and they found the right person. Taylor Tomlinson is
Mhm.
hilarious, cute, endorsed by Conan O'Brien, took her on tour,
Yeah.
and various others,
And
and
Stephen
so
Colbert is a producer on her show, I think.
exactly there is that too.
And if she stays in the business, he'll give her his position after he retires. I'm almost
if she
positive.
wants it, that's the
True.
thing. Is
Yeah.
that the other thing too? Is that some folks are great comedians, but aren't into the talk show aspect of it. They just like the
That's a very good
jokes and the
point.
monologue stuff for it.
Yeah.
And that's what this
Yeah.
seems to do. And this also creates an avenue for her to use her strengths, which is telling jokes. And in telling jokes, she's like, well, I know this person, and this person.
Yeah.
They can work, they can do this show, they can write on this, they can either write on the show or they could be on the show and either come up with their own material or deliver something that one of my writers cooked up. And we can all just have a good time because the internet is filled with constantly
The outside of humanity.
renewable material that can be used, provided if someone uses at blank sent or we got this from at whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
giving credit. So
And it's
Cite your
both
sources.
an escape from reality and dipping into a different part of it.
Yep. Pretty much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I am so glad this finally happened.
Yeah, same. This was great, guys. I'm glad I was
Yeah.
able to chat with y'all.
Yeah, and probably do it again sometime. Like last week. We'll like to probably won't this week because we've been on enough, and like you need to eat, I need to sleep, Matt needs to do Matt things, and but yeah,
And
well,
watch TV.
yeah,
I'm
but
happy
yeah,
to be back on again, and just
yeah,
for no other reason than I love talking to you both. So
mhm.
Same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we loved it too, and this kind of like cliche, maybe seems like a cliche thing to say, but I don't give a shit. I think it's true. I just love like that's part of what we were wanting to do with the show is like I just love that like it's like I love how we're both like a couple atheists like starting a show, but like our very first guest is not an atheist, but we get
And
along.
not an expert in anything but their own life.
Yeah, but I mean part of it is like I
You know what I
honestly
mean. That wasn't a dig.
yeah,
yeah
I know.
I also like love how like we were talking for almost an hour before like anything involving faith even came up. So it's like, yeah, people who disagree with what a lot of people view as like such fundamental like part of like your opinions in life and stuff. It's like we can just talk and be friends just like
I
we
don't
were
even know if
20 years ago or whatever.
I think the only thing I'm disagreeing on is using the word disagree. It's just we're approaching the same values and thoughts, but from different pathways.
Mm,
Is all.
yeah.
And
So maybe
it's
like
not
the
and
disagreement would be
it's
like
not
on a much
necessarily.
more surface level like not necessarily real, but like on the
Oh,
where things are
yeah,
real, it's like we're right there. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. We're not, and both of us are not interested in a debate of convincing the other
Hmm.
of said mindset. And if anything,
Uh,
we're empathetic of each other's mindsets.
that doesn't work
Right.
anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. The
You can't
only
convince people that way.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's like I
yeah,
said, like
bud. I
yeah, like because
agree.
I like for people who like see me online, like I'm pretty vocal about stuff, but it's only because like I've like it's not me trying to necessarily convince anyone, but I've just been hearing from so many people, whether like online or just like people like messaging me privately saying like I just appreciate hearing your point of view. One,
Yeah,
either it's people who like it's so glad to hear that someone else thinks these things that I've been thinking, or I also hear from plenty of Christians who are like, I appreciate how you like kind of make me think about things like in ways I hadn't thought before. And I'm like, oh,
yeah.
cool.
That
So I mean,
that's just
so
valuable.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that's why I do it, and that's why we're doing the show because like I mean, honestly, part of like I said, we just like talking, whether it's about specifically faith stuff or whatever the hell else we end up talking about. It's just yeah,
It's almost like we're friends and shit.
it
Almost.
does.
Yeah, yeah,
Weird.
yeah. Yeah,
Wait,
weird.
did
Well,
we just become best friends?
huh? God. I'll just part ways to say, Matt, thank you for taking all my stuff in good nature and knowing that
Oh
the
yeah,
truth of my heart behind them.
yeah.
And thank you for being a good sport, and thank you for being a genuine and loving friend for the last decade plus. Tommy, same to you. You're my brother. I love you, and I wish nothing but the best going forward and going backward too. But I don't know time
Yeah,
travel. Uh,
I
but
can like it's
I,
perspective on
I,
some things in the past, perhaps.
Yeah,
Then
yeah, there you
yeah.
go.
there you have it. But
Yeah.
overall, I'm so happy and glad that I am fortunate enough to keep such a connection that after being
Yeah.
absent physically
Hmm.
for God, nearly 20 years at this point,
Yeah,
give
it's
or
been
take,
yeah, 16, 17, something like that. Yeah.
16, 17, something like that.
Yeah.
And I treasure both as people, as friends, and as not just a memory of my past, but um, the good stuff that's also within my present.
Hmm.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's like you're trying to
Yeah.
make me cry. Like, but but
Did
yeah,
it
I mean,
work?
I I just kind of shut down because that was a lot of feelings, and I was
Yeah, I
like,
know.
I was having
yeah,
internal feelings, and I'm like,
I know.
yeah.
how do I
I
get the
know.
inside to
So
that? Like,
since you
Matt,
words,
Matt, I'm one of your friends that knows.
good.
Tommy, I'm one of your friends that knows.
yeah, and since
That's sort of
you,
how we're still friends for 20 plus years. It's like,
I
oh,
know.
I know how they feel on the inside, whether they show it or not. That if you were to show it to me, I would have freaked out a little bit because I would have been different.
Start
So,
making out with my screen. Yeah, but
yeah,
yeah,
it
but I
takes
mean,
some.
since
Yeah.
you words the words better than I could have words the words, so I'll go with
That's
your
why I'm a
wordsing.
professional, baby.
Exactly. So, but speaking of which, before you go, any quick like just remind the people where they can find your work that you do so well.
Sure. At Erik W. Barnes on the Hell site Twitter. I know I'm gonna hopefully maybe get an Instagram someday, and or you can follow me on Blue Sky, even though I don't post on that. Watch some more news on YouTube if you're into comedy that'll make you depressed and angry about the state of the world. Uh,
But
Yeah.
also
Watch
happy
wrestling.
about it somehow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Watch wrestling, pro wrestling on YouTube as well. Um, at Wrestling PW on social media. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. Like I said, feel free to hop on anytime. We throw the link out there, just or we may just have you on again for a show proper
Have
like
me
this
on
again.
again officially at some point.
Yeah,
But if I'm free on a Tuesday, I may pop in and say hi. But for now,
sounds amazing. So,
please let me eat.
Go eat.
okay. All right. Good night, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
So long.
Bye.